Happening now, the cleanup continues following a very windy night here locally. We tell you about continued efforts to restore power to many. Plus, why City of Jamestown workers are speaking out about proposed changes to their retirement benefits.
Well, the winds have calmed down a little bit for today, and we don't have any rain out there right now, but I'll show you the pictures. The wind gusts from yesterday, plus snow is in the forecast. We'll talk about it next. The News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now as we start off a brand new week. I'm Justin Gould. Thousands of people in Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties remain without power following a blast of heavy winds yesterday. National Grid's outage map reports nearly 500 different outages, with thousands of customers remaining in the dark, from French Creek to Gowanda to Olean. Now, for some of the worst hit areas, crews are still assessing when that electric might come back on. For a number of others, it's looking like power will be back later today. Now, due to the power outages throughout the area, there will be no school today for students and staff of Bemis Point Central School District, that according to their superintendent. Now, in Jamestown, many experienced outages throughout the city. However, the Jamestown BPU says most should have power back on now. Joining us is Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter with more on some of the storm damage that we saw yesterday. Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, those winds were very, very strong yesterday, and we had widespread tree and power line damage across all of the region. And I mean, you know, I lost power at the Hunter Estate here in the studio. I mean, it was definitely dark for several hours. And this is a tree that fell on Forest Avenue. Our own Storm Hartman captured this, and you can see actually the street lights are out here. We had a lot of power outages, a tree down on a home here. Thanks to Walt for sending this in to us. This was probably more concerning. This is the church that's on 3rd Street that is near the Lynn Funeral Home. What they told us, what Sharon told us, is that a tree branch fell into a utility pole. The pole snapped and sent the tree branch going into the roof of the church. This is in the nursery area, but that is always a very frightening image when you see stuff coming in through the roof of homes. Alex sent us this picture near Cherry and H Street of trees down, and you can see it took power lines along with it. This the reason why power was out yesterday and still continues to be out today is because of all of the widespread wind damage that we had from trees and power lines. And how about this? A tree down. This is essentially on the south side of the city. Thanks to John for sending this in. We had so many of these, dozens and dozens of pictures and videos. And of course, we want to thank you for sending them all in to us. I mean, you know, we call you our weather for a reason, because you are our window to the outside world. And I threw this out on social media right after we lost power. This was the last radar image we were able to capture as the line was blowing on through here. So you can see the yellow outline boxes. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings that were in effect all day yesterday, or parts of the afternoon yesterday. But what you notice is how the line of storms really doesn't look impressive. This is simply because the line of storms were low top. The top of the clouds were only about 20 to 30,000 feet up. Most of the time when we get thunderstorms, our storms can be 40, 50, 60,000 feet up, but these were low top, so that's why they didn't look very impressive on radar. But boy, the winds were howling. 69 miles per hour was the peak wind gust in in Fredonia, 68 Dunkirk, 65 Randolph, 60 in Wellsville. Now, Jamestown officially at the airport, 55, but in my professional opinion, I think the city itself gauged over 60 mile an hour wind gusts when you see all the tree and power line damage, so that number is a little bit skew 54 in Clymer and 49 in Ripley. But the good news is the winds have calmed down a little bit for today, but wouldn't you know it, we go from rain to wind to snow, and it's going to accumulate. I'll tell you about it all in full detail with the 42 degrees and sunny 7-day later in the show. Justin, back to you.
All right, Dakota, we'll certainly be looking to that. Thank you. Well, in other news we're following, unions representing City of Jamestown workers say they'll be rallying this evening, calling on the city's council to protect health care benefits for retirees that are slated to be cut in the 2021 budget. Union members will gather at City Hall at 6 o'clock tonight to voice their concerns. Union President Chris Larson tells us that Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist's proposed budget goes against law and language in the city's collective bargaining agreements by requiring retirees ages 65 and up to move off the city's self-funded insurance and onto Medicaid.
I mean, this affects a lot of people in a lot of ways. One example is there's a retiree who is on our insurance who has prescriptions, and if he were forced off this, it would cost him $9,000 every 6 weeks, and who can afford that? So we want everybody to know that this is unfair, and they're basically taking away the rights that all these people have worked for decades.
Larson says he wants the council to stand up and protect those benefits. We'll have a crew at that rally tonight and bring more coverage at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. Well, dozens of new COVID-19 cases and another related death were reported locally over the weekend. The Cattaraugus County Health Department says an 82-year-old woman in the northwest part of the county developed respiratory failure and, despite aggressive medical treatment, was unable to overcome her illness. This is the 22nd COVID-19 related death reported in the county since the outbreak began. Additionally, 12 new cases of the virus were reported there from over the weekend. Of those, 9 were from Saturday and 3 from Sunday. The county now has 613 total cases, with 117 of them active. Of the 12 new cases, 1 person is hospitalized with shortness of breath. Meanwhile, Chautauqua County's health department reported 30 new cases of COVID-19 this weekend, 20 from Saturday and 10 from Sunday. Health officials are expected to release more information about the weekend's numbers a little bit later on today. Now, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell is scheduled to hold a Facebook Live town hall answering your questions about the virus. He will be joined by Health Director Christine Schuyler, County Physicians Dr. Robert Burke, Brian Walters, and Dr. Michael Folk. That will be streamed live on the county's Facebook page. Of course, we'll bring coverage. Well, as many states across the country continue to break daily COVID-19 records, a glimmer of hope from the nation's top infectious disease expert. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the U.S. could start getting back to normal next year, as early as April, in fact. Meredith Wood takes a closer look at the key factors that could impact that timeline.
Getting back to normal as early as April 2021. That's the hopeful assessment coming from Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. Help is coming. And that should, I believe, motivate people to just say we're going to double down and do this uniformly.
In an exclusive interview with CNN, Dr. Fauci says when we can gather again freely depends on a number of factors. Fauci pointed to the pharmaceutical manufacturer Pfizer's announcement that its early data shows its vaccine is more than 90% effective, and a second company is expected to unveil its own early results soon.
I think that if we get most of the country vaccinated in the second, third quarter of the year, and the vaccine continues to prove its efficacy and people adhere to those fundamental measures, I think we can start approaching the degree. It's not going to be a light switch.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has surpassed 10.9 million COVID-19 cases and 245,000 deaths, as many states continue to break daily records.
A month ago, we had 1,000 people in our hospitals in Ohio. Just a week ago, we had 2,000. Now we have over 3,000.
Even before we reach next April, the death toll from the pandemic could be devastating. An influential COVID-19 model projects the U.S. death toll may reach 439,000 by March 1st. Health experts and lawmakers are urging people to stay vigilant and continue to follow public health measures.
We can see the end of this. We just have to tough it out for, a few more months and do what we need to do so we can get through this.
I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
Meredith, thank you. Dr. Fauci also spoke about the transition of power during the worsening pandemic, saying it would be better if government health officials would start working with incoming Biden-Harris administration personnel. Well, the city of Jamestown is looking at the possibility of installing speed cameras in school zones. That, according to the agenda for tonight's City Council meeting work session. Lawmakers will discuss the idea with Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist. Now, state lawmakers previously passed legislation allowing local governments to install speed cameras in school zones in an effort to ramp up pedestrian safety. Local leaders are considering cameras that would target drivers who go 10 miles per hour over the posted limit. Fines would be $50, and the city could receive 64% of that, $32 of the revenue split with the camera's management group. In return, that company would cover all costs associated with installing those cameras. So far in 2020, police have stopped over 100 vehicles for traffic violations in city school zones. That number is down nearly half from last year, where officers stopped more than 200 vehicles. Also at tonight's meeting, local leaders will be hashing out the idea of authorizing a deer management system where archery hunters could help reduce the animal's urban population. Specifically, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation would authorize licensed volunteer hunters a special permit to hunt deer and coyotes in the city. The program would run from November 1st to December 22nd, with hunting limited to bow and arrow with shots taken 20 yards or less from buildings. Hunters would then take those shots at local parks with signs posted to warn the public of the activity. Hunters would then take deer to a designated processing site, and any processed meat that they wouldn't reserve would be donated to a local food pantry. The council is scheduled to discuss that at tonight's 7:30 meeting. Well, we thank you all for joining us here for WNY News Now, as we've made it through a pretty windy Sunday. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Elizabeth, Tabitha. Great Monday. Thanks so much for joining us today. Good to see Tony, Chad, Lisa, Jordan, Christy, Jessica, Wally, and Donna as well. Let us know what all of you are thinking about in the comments down below. We have a lot more local news to tell you about this half hour. Coming up next, you hear about the arrest of a local man who fled police and, get this, a combine harvester. And later, more on the race for a COVID-19 vaccine and another big development announced today. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back. A village of Brockton man is facing several charges after allegedly fleeing sheriff's deputies in a combine harvester during a reported altercation last week. The Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office tells us deputies were dispatched to a Peerless Street address for a reported altercation on Friday the 13th in Brockton. Now, through investigation, they allege 35-year-old Benjamin Reed caused physical injury to another person and damaged multiple items in the residence. Additionally, they say the alleged incident occurred in the presence of multiple children. When deputies attempted to contact Reed, they say he fled the scene in that Harvester. A warrant was later issued for his arrest, and he was taken into custody. Reed faces numerous charges, including third-degree assault. Deputies say he was taken to the county jail, where he was arraigned and released. Another biotech company, Moderna, says its coronavirus vaccine is nearly 95% effective. The company released those results of the early clinical trial today. Moderna plans to seek FDA authorization for the vaccine after more safety data is gathered. Of the 15,000 participants who received it, only 5 contracted COVID-19 and none became seriously ill. It's the second vaccine in the U.S. to have a stunningly high success rate. Last week, if you remember, Pfizer announced that early data shows its vaccine is more than 90% effective. The nation's top infectious disease experts say COVID-19 vaccines could start as early as mid-December. It's expected that high-risk groups like healthcare workers, the elderly, and people with underlying medical conditions would get it first. It could be available to everyone else by spring. Well, New York's governor is now threatening legal action against the Trump administration if they can't find a way to ensure that the COVID-19 vaccine reaches underserved communities in the state. Governor Andrew Cuomo, speaking at the Riverside Church yesterday in New York City, says the state is going to take special efforts to make sure every New Yorker is able to get a vaccine.
The Trump administration is designing the distribution plan. And their plan basically has private healthcare companies administer the vaccine, hospitals, big drugstores, doctors' offices, etc. It sounds fine, right? But hold on. We know that our black, brown, and poorer communities have fewer healthcare institutions. Their communities are too often healthcare deserts. That's why we have more underlying conditions, and that's why the COVID death toll is so high for black and brown communities. We're not going to make the same mistake again, period.
Now, those remarks come after President Trump, while touting Pfizer's vaccine last week, singled out Cuomo for wanting New Yorkers to wait to take the vaccine until state health officials assess it. President Trump says his administration is working with manufacturers to distribute an initial 100 million doses of it. Trump expects the Food and Drug Administration to grant authorized use very soon. Cuomo says he'll need financial help from the federal government in order to not only deliver a vaccine, but to recover from COVID-19's financial impacts. Well, the CDC says the safest way to celebrate Thanksgiving this year is at home with members of your own household. Now, if that makes you not want to cook, Purdue Foods has something special. Take a look at this. It's Thanks Nuggets. They're exactly what they sound like. You can order them, and they're about $19 a bag starting this week. They come in 2 varieties, dark turkey meat and cranberry and breast meat. The best part is they take just 12 minutes to warm up. So this Thanksgiving you can pass on the cooking and pass the Thanks Nuggets instead. Dakota, this sounds like something just up your alley. We talk about this all the time, about some of the lackluster when it comes to cooking, but it'd be interesting to try it, because I love dark meat. It's one of my favorite parts about Thanksgiving, so I might just try it for the heck of it.
Well, hey, you know what? I mean, if it takes that, if it's very quick to warm up, then hey, that's right up my alley.
Yeah, so I don't want to pass it till you try it, if you get what I mean. Can it pass it? I'm going to pass the dish to you. Here you go, Dakota.
Yeah.
Just going to pass it.
Go.
I'm over here.
Like the gravy boat.
Yeah, here you go.
The family China Crystal gravy boat.
We'll get the gravy, and we'll have the nuggets.
Yes.
What could be
Turkey
better than
nuggets.
that?
Yes. Dipping, finger food. But wash your hands, though. That's important. But, you shouldn't, you should wash your hands anyway.
Yeah.
Even after before you've eaten finger food.
Even
and
before
after.
this whole COVID thing.
Right.
Like, wash your hands.
Right.
How hard is it?
Yeah.
Evidently pretty hard.
Yeah. You don't even want to know the number of people I've seen in public bathrooms who use a bathroom and walk out without washing their hands.
I once saw this guy eating a burger while peeing in a public urinal.
Oh.
That's a sight that we don't want to have to see this noon. I'm sorry for sharing, but
yeah.
I just thought about that. The things that people do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, with that, let's take a look at the rain totals. And even though the wind got much of the story yesterday, we can't forget we had some rain that came down as well. Franklinville, a little less than 3/4 of an inch of rain. Little Valley, 0.68 inches. Dunkirk, a little more than 1/2 an inch. Jamestown, close to 1/2 inch of rain. Gary at 1/4 of an inch of rain. But the wind really got the story yesterday, minus the rain. So here's what's coming up here. So the wind settles down for today. That is the good news. It's still going to be a little bit breezy, but it's not going to be as windy as it was yesterday. That's the good news. And we get some snow showers tonight all the way through Wednesday, and this will accumulate. We told you about this last week, about how there was likely going to be some accumulating snow likely early this week, and yeah, now we're into early next week, and here we are. We've got the snow for you. And the temperatures are actually going to be gradually climbing as we go throughout the week. So it's going to be this roller coaster of temperatures once again. 35 is a noon hour right now. We have a healthy southwest breeze at 16 miles per hour. The wind gust at 23, but it feels more like 25 when you step outside. And this is actually what it should be feeling like this time of the year. We should not be warm and mild. We should be cold this time of the year, getting cold. So Future Scan shows you a few rain and snow showers through the afternoon today. No big deal. But as we get into tonight, notice how we actually get into bands of lake effect rain and snow showers early, especially early this evening. Then as we go into tonight, all of that will transition over to snow showers across much of the area. I think snowfall accumulations overnight, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 inches, not a big deal there. The 3 inches is going to be on the hills. And then the snow is going to continue in pockets throughout the day tomorrow. This is going to be partly lake effect as well. Notice the wind direction shifting directly across Lake Erie, so that's going to generate some bands of lake effect snow along with added moisture from the upper Great Lakes. And then all that starts to taper off as we go into Tuesday night, going into Wednesday. So our projected snowfall totals here, this is not by no means a big story, but it will be snowfall accumulations. We're likely looking at about 3 to 6 inches on the hills. Now, again, please keep in mind it's a range for a reason. Don't always focus on this highest number. Focus on the lower number. That's likely going to be where we're going to be, somewhere in between there. 3 to 6 inches on the hills in both, essentially in both both counties here, about 2 to 3 across the lower elevations. Once you work across the Lake Erie shoreline, because this is going to be mostly lake effect, the Lake Erie shoreline doesn't get as much once it's lake effect. So we're going about 1 inch there right at the immediate Lake Erie shoreline. We have nothing showing up across the area but just socked in cloud cover, but there will be a few more rain and snow showers later this afternoon, as Future Scan just showed you. And you can see where the clouds are coming from our source region way up in the upper Great Lakes. And that is going to be the key to the next piece of the forecast for the lake effect snow. And we do have a meteor shower that peaks today and tomorrow. The problem is it's going to be way too cloudy, too snowy around here to see it, but it is worth mentioning. So if you do happen to find some area where you can get some clearing skies, 10 to 15 meteors per hour and the terminal velocity at 44 meters per second. But I don't think we're going to see it here. Way too cloudy, and we're also going to have the snow in the way. So zone forecast, the inland areas today, it's a smorgasbord of weather. This is why I love New York. It is a smorgasbord of weather. Yeah, we're nowhere near the high temperatures we had, especially last week. Next 7 days coming up, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 35 tomorrow, about 1 to 3 inches through the day. Wednesday, 1 inch or less. Best chance of snow is going to be in the morning hours, tapers off for the afternoon. Partial sunshine on Thursday, 48. And look at the temperatures climbing as we go into the weekend. We should stay mainly dry until Sunday. That's when we bring in another chance for a few rain showers and temperatures in the upper 50s. Once again, we'll take a break. Be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
to help you,
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please
Slow down.
Slow down.
And move over.
move over.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Not tomorrow, but right now on the WNY News Now mobile app. Follow local news as it happens.
The mother of a special education student at Maple Grove High School is speaking out.
And stay informed with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network.
And Lake Erie is covered in less than 1% of ice as this winter season has entered its peak.
Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Well, yesterday was a big day for Elon Musk's SpaceX and for NASA too. Musk's company sending 4 astronauts into orbit, headed to the International Space Station in the first mission of its kind for a private company. Our Reed Binion takes a closer look.
3, 2, 1, 0.
SpaceX making history Sunday. A SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule blasting off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The 4 astronauts on board, bound for the International Space Station. It's a landmark moment for SpaceX because it's the company's first fully operational crewed mission. SpaceX's development of the Crew Dragon capsule under NASA's Commercial Crew Program is also a big step for the space agency. It marks the first time NASA has handed over much of the design, development, and testing of new human-rated spacecraft to the private sector. Vice President Mike Pence traveled to Florida for the launch. He and Second Lady Karen Pence on hand to witness the occasion. The 4 astronauts on board, 3 from NASA and 1 from Japan's space agency, are set to dock at the ISS late Monday evening, roughly 27 hours after Sunday's successful, historic launch.
And resilience rises. Not even gravity contains humanity when we explore as one for all.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Reed, thank you. Those 4 are set to spend around 6 months in space conducting research. NASA hopes this will be the first journey of many in which the SpaceX craft shuttle will take crew to the ISS. Pretty cool. And Dakota, this isn't the first launch that we've seen in the last couple of months here. I know there was one a little bit earlier on this year, and it's great to see that we're sending people back up into space, and that really is the final frontier, I think. I know both of us are pretty big science nerds in a sense, and we don't know still so much about what's up there. So it's great to see that those astronauts are able to now have a really good, reliable way to get up into space, and really cool to watch. And it's so amazing. They stream all of this on NASA's YouTube page for hours. Like you can watch it all day. I pulled up the last launch that they had, and it was a really, really cool thing to see.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing I love so much, and, when SpaceX came around and, SpaceX started saying they were going to start, building rockets and trying to get people into space and whatnot, the thing that concerned me was, would they snub NASA? Because, SpaceX is a private company versus NASA, which is a government agency, which is which is, of course, funded,
right, through public
dollars. But, the one thing I'm so encouraged to see is SpaceX and NASA working together to create history together. And I think that is so amazing to be able to work in both the private sector and the public sector and to essentially, kind of create this kind of history that we're seeing.
If you think about it, that's what a lot of America is built on, right? Is the mix of public-private partnership. The government has a certain amount of role in our life, but at the end of the day, it's up to private individual citizens to go out and create, jobs and in this case, bring us to the final frontier. And it's the same thing in anything, with the, first automobile, first, plane, and now private companies going into space.
We're going to get to the moon. Again, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
That'll be a
We'll
really
get there.
great, really cool day to see. Good to see Jessica, Brenda, Cindy, and Kyle. Let us know what you guys are all thinking about in the comments below. Final moments here on the show, Dakota. Really good to be home, let me tell you. I'm to be home but not home.
I know, we're finally back into the studio once again. And I mean, I think just a backstory very quickly for those who may have missed last week. We were all working from home last week. And
after I got sick with COVID.
Yes.
2 weeks of that.
So
feeling much better now. Much, much better. Not contagious. Still important, wearing the masks. I gotta have it on, and we had safety precautions before, and I think that's one of the biggest things is the spread within WNY News Now was very limited, and I think that's it goes to the precautions, and I just think that the common sense that we all have, and being back here in studio, Dakota and I, albeit on your screen we look like we're next to each other, but we're 6 feet away. He's over in the weather center. I'm in the news set. And we want to get back to that, where we bring guests in like we did before. And I don't think the discussions have ever stopped or the news has ever stopped, and nor will it. But I think that's, we're so close to that. And even with COVID impacting so much, it's nice to finally now be back in here, clean surfaces. We have this new cleaner, which is incredible, but I noticed it literally was eating at our desks. Like, did you? I don't know if you saw that this morning.
No.
But they
didn't use it in the weather office, so.
Your desk might be better than my desk. They give us the cheapy desks. But I got to tell you, I'm like, it left a mark, so they're going to have to figure that cleaner out. I guess it kills the germs. What are you going to say?
Yeah. I guess they'll put a sign on like all the set pieces. Do not use
Do
this.
not use this cleaner on the desk.
Yes.
But it kills them for 24 hours, so powerful stuff.
Yeah. Maybe just a little too powerful.
A little too powerful. I don't want to see what happens if I get it on my skin.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. You're going to eat away at me. Well, that's it for us. We're back tomorrow if not for the cleaner.
Right.
News continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. There's a live look over Walmart. That looks like a fun place to be right now. See you tomorrow.